welcome. My name is Tanya Cottrell, and I am one of the wellness advocate support leaders right here in the Metabolic Makeover Facebook group. And so I want to welcome you to the group. I want to welcome you to this Getting Started video, and I really want to congratulate you on making the investment into yourself and deciding to go on this metabolic healing journey. You are doing something wonderful for your body, wonderful for your life. And ultimately, what we like to focus on a lot with our metabolic healing process is increasing something called health span. Now, that means regardless of how many years your lifespan will be, we want to maximize your ability to live with activity and vitality all the way through up until the end. We want to shrink that window of time where our bodies can't keep up with us. We don't want to live for years not being able to enjoy and participate in life. We want to be present with our families and our grandchildren, and increasing health span is the right approach to doing that. We now know scientifically that metabolic health is foundational to health span. It underwrites everything in our wellness. And so if you want to tackle a lot of different well-being issues and wellness issues in your life, start with metabolic healing. It is key, and you're on the right path to doing so. So let's go through some getting started tips. I'm going to give you just an overview of how to use your kit. I'm going to give you a lot of tips that I've learned along the way, and others who have been on this journey have learned along the way. We want to give you all the hacks and the troubleshooting that you need to have the best success. So hang with me and just know that this process is a little bit different for everyone. And so it's really important that you embrace the process of some trial and error and some experimenting, and using this support group as a place where you get other people to weigh in and help you maximize the benefits that you're going to get from MetaPWR. So let's review the parts of the system to begin with so that you have an overview of your kit. So if you want to get your box out, you can, so that you can kind of match up what it is. I want you to keep in mind, even though you're looking at a whole bunch of products, they all fit into 3 key steps. And those 3 key steps are important. You need to be doing all of them in order to get the full package. These steps are meant to work together synergistically, and they work on different parts of your metabolic health. And the more benefits you have in all of those parts, the more those benefits compound across from each other, if that makes sense. So the first one is your MetaPWR Advantage, and that's going to be your drink mix. Okay, this is a collagen, and it also has something called NMN in it, which is a precursor to something called NAD+, which gives your cells energy and life. If you don't have NAD+ in your cells, you die. NAD+ is what keeps your cells young. You have a lot of it when you're young. When you're about 25, your body starts reducing its production of that. And that is what creates a midlife years, say your 40s and 50s, it's just plummeting. And that's when you really start to experience massive aging symptoms. And also, you're probably finding yourself going, my metabolism doesn't work like it used to. That's the reduction of NAD+ in your cells. So we want to reverse age your cells slowly over time, because you're actually going to be reclaiming that metabolic function more and more the longer you're on this. So the collagen is really important for building connective tissue, and it's going to help with anti-aging throughout your body. It's going to help with joints. I have noticed a lot of anti-aging on my skin. I've been on MetaPWR for about 13 months. I'm 46 years old, and if I look at photos from when I started and photos today, I can see the younger version of my face showing back up, and it's really exciting. I've got the more square jawline like I was used to having. That had started to puff out. I have seen the puffiness under here go down. I've seen fine lines reduce. Can't see with my sweater here, but I was starting to get the lines here, and they're faded quite a bit. That is the collagen, okay? But other than just the anti-aging outward, we want those cells to reverse age. We now have science behind us knowing that that's possible. And that's pretty breakthrough to know that we can actually increase NAD plus production. And we're doing that through a natural source of NMN. There's a lot of synthetics out there in the world you'll hear about. That's not what we're doing. We're doing natural, and it's just helping your body to produce its own. There's a lot of other great ingredients in this. You can dive in some of the other education. It's the best collagen out there on the market, and it's the only one with NMN in it. It's fantastic. The other thing that the collagen does is it helps to build lean muscles. So increasing muscle mass is really huge for your metabolic health. I started to notice definition in my core, even without increasing my strength building in my core, which is a good thing to do. But even before I was doing any increasing, I noticed new definition coming on. And I really believe it was the increase of lean muscle building over time. I actually felt a little stronger, and I've had 4 children, and core weakness was something that was really bothering me. So stay consistent with this. What you want to do is mix this with water and drink it 1 time a day. Now, you have a lot of options on how to do that. This is a powder, and you dropped it. I'll get another one. It says to mix it with about 8 ounces of water, but it doesn't matter. If you like it more diluted, you can do it in a bigger cup and sip it down. Or if you want to mix it with just a little bit of water and take it like a shot and just knock it back, go for it. The one rule is you don't want to use hot water or warm water. You want to use cold or room temperature. Now, I cannot handle it room temperature. I think it's just really gross. But I've talked to others who don't like it really cold and they like it room temperature. So experiment with that. There are potentially new flavors coming out. So just stay tuned for that. That's probably going to be a little bit more long-term. We may see multiple flavors. Right now, this is the citrus. It's a citrus mix. And I will tell you right now, some people like the flavor and some people don't. I didn't like it for the first week, and then it grew in me, and now I really like it. I find it refreshing. But even if I didn't, I would still kick it back. You can mix it into a smoothie or something like that. However, we're working on glucose, so a lot of times people think smoothies are healthy, and they're really jacking your glucose and your blood sugar up because fruit has a lot of fructose in it. That's going to spike your blood sugar. And when you blend it, you're getting rid of the fiber. And when you juice it, you're getting rid of the fiber. And so it really does skyrocket your blood sugar even more. So pay attention to what kind of smoothie you're putting into it. That's just a little advice for me. So you can do this in the morning, or you can do it at night or in the afternoon. And I advise people to experiment with the time of day. It really helps to regulate your circadian rhythms and your energy in the day and your sleep at night. So I like to take it in the morning, drink it in the morning or afternoon, because it really gives me energy. Morning's my favorite. I found once I was on this, I wasn't even really needing caffeine. That was just something for me. You might not notice it that strong, but for me, it really energized me. Others say it relaxes them and they drink it at night to help sleep. For me, I noticed energy during the day when I drank it in the morning, and then I was very tired around bedtime, and I started sleeping really, really well by drinking this in the morning. There is a little loose rule of thumb that has been kind of anecdotally noticed by some, that generally people older than, say, 55 do better drinking it at night. Younger tend to like to drink it in the morning. I don't know. I've heard a few people say that wasn't true for them. So just be ready to experiment. You can do more than one of these a day. If you want to budget for that, the more the better. The more collagen, the better. So especially if you are working with like an injury or something and you really want like ligament and connective tissue restoration, 2 a day is great. I was in a car accident last spring, and I switched to 2 a day for a good while, and I had tremendous recovery and healing. So I think that was beneficial. So that's step 1. Step 2, actually, I think I'm numbering these differently than they do in other videos, but this is the order I wanted to talk about them in, is your metabolic assist. Now, this in your kit comes this size, but we now have it in a giant size. If you're a super user like me, I'll explain what that means. That can be beneficial. You can get 120 This is 30 capsules. So the directions on here will say take one with your largest meal of the day. I want you to know that's baseline. And I have personally had conversations with doctors that were part of developing this. So I'm going to explain to you what they have explained to me. That's baseline. That is going to benefit you. But if you want max benefit, then you might want to take it more than one time a day, which is what I ended up doing. But they wanted to give us a baseline that will help, will benefit you, and that's the most cost effective. So you can start with one a day. If you feel like you're going to benefit even more by doing it more times, that's an option. You just get to decide. And that's called super using, when you're using more than the baseline of a product a day. So I really like to super use this. What this assist is it is a capsule that it contains berberine and mulberry and cinnamon, and then some of the essential oils. And think of it as like a carb blocker. I'm going to go real layman's terms here. Think of it as like a carb blocker. When you eat any kind of carbs or starches or sugar that's going to spike your blood sugar, this helps to reduce the amount of spiking. It doesn't cancel it out. It just reduces it by a little bit. And so you're going to have less extreme spiking and crashing, because if you can control the spikes, you can control the crashes. You're going to fluctuate normally, your blood sugar, your glucose, but instead of radical spiking and crashing, we want to moderate that out a little bit. And this is how we're doing that. So, I want you to remember that whenever you're doing radical spiking and crashing, you're aging your cells. So just like we're reverse aging our cells with this, we're slowing down that aging of the cells process with this. And we're also having less impact with glucose spikes that cause weight gain. Okay. So for me, my glucose was really dysfunctional. And I actually wore a monitor to find out before I started. This was really dysfunctional. And this really did help me to reduce my high glucose events. So for me personally, you can hear my more in-depth testimonial in other videos, but I was able in a month, and I used a glucose monitor to reduce my high glucose events by 63%. That was astounding for me. And it has really helped me transform my metabolic health. So how to use it? You just take it with your meal or when you eat. The directions, I don't believe they've changed this yet, will say take it 15 to 20 minutes before you eat. Okay, it says take one capsule 15 to 30 minutes before a meal up to 3 times a day. I talked to the lead doctor in developing this, and he said newer research has shown that you don't have to take it before 15 to 20 minutes before. You can take it. They actually are seeing better results when you take it right with your meal. I don't think they've officially changed the language on this, but that's my little tip. So I just take it right when I eat, and I've had great results. Little tip here, you want to carry it with you. So by the time you get your second bottle, save your first bottle so that you can keep one in your kitchen or your dining room. I actually like to put it right in the center of the table. I've got a little tray with salt and pepper, napkins, and MetaPWR Assist. That way anybody on the family on the system that wants to take it with their meal, it's right there to remember to pop it in when you eat. If you forget, you can take it at the end of the meal. It's still going to help, but I try to remember right at the beginning. But I also carry one in my purse because that was getting me. I was eating on the go, and I personally like to take one of these anytime I eat carbs, starches, or sugar up to 3 times a day. Okay, so some days that might be I take it once, some days I might take it 3 times, but I know that if I end up eating something that's going to spike me, I want to reduce that spike, and so I take one. And if I don't carry it with me, I find myself out and about without this, I'm not doing myself any favors. So when you get that second bottle, split it into your other bottle and have some in your purse. For now, you may just want a little Ziploc or something and take some with you. This is, hang on, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss something here. Okay. this particular product, there was some instruction early on when the system came out to avoid taking this at the same time as any digestive enzymes. So doTERRA's digestive enzyme is called Terrazyme, fantastic product. If you're on that or another digestive enzyme, word was separate them out by a few hours because they kind of counteract each other. That has been debunked now. So I just want to clear the air there. If you take a dietary enzyme to break down food in your stomach and your digestion, like our Terrazyme, you no longer have to worry about separating them out. You can take them at the same time and it's fine. Now, the one thing you do have to separate out, I'm going to go backtrack a little bit, is when you drink this, you do need a 2-hour gap from any like fiber product. And we have doTERRA's fiber, which I love. I try to do this in the morning. And then if I'm doing fiber, I do it in the afternoon because they do kind of contradict each other a little bit. So you want maximum benefit. With your assist, you want to kind of keep your eyes open when you first start on it to notice, am I getting any bloating or constipation? And if you are, that's likely from one of the ingredients in here, and you need to do some troubleshooting with it because you may have, and don't freak out because this is very common, you may have a microscopic parasite issue in your small intestines that you need to address, and you may have some overactive yeast or candida in your system that you need to address. That is a sign. And so I've got a second video called troubleshooting. I want you to watch that video if you need to do some troubleshooting. And if that issue comes up for you right away, you'll know it. And you need to go to that video and find out some methods to troubleshoot that. Okay, that's just something we've learned. And that is because the berberine and the mulberry tend to be anti-parasitic and sort of dislodge those. And you need a little extra something to help actually clear it out of your system. So it's going to work well for you. Okay, so the third part of the system is the oil blend. Okay, so you're going to have the oil bottle, but you also have alternative delivery forms of that same oil blend. You have the soft gels, you have the beadlets, and you have the gum. Okay, these are all part of the same, it's all the oil blend product. It's this in different delivery methods. So this step, I want to see you do some experimenting in to figure out which ones you want to lean on the most heavily to use on a daily basis. I like them all, but I lean more heavily on the capsules and the gum personally. These are my favorite. And I use these a little bit less, but some people really are the opposite. Some people can't chew gum. And if that's the case, then, you know, maybe you don't reorder this and you use the beadlets more. So the beadlets and the gum are really good for on the go. So keep these in your purse. The soft gels is the oil just in a soft gel. So if you don't like the flavor of the oil, like we use this in our drinking water, then you may lean a little more heavily on just taking the capsules that you don't taste. It really doesn't matter. Some people love the oil and they get added appetite control with the oil and tasting it. And so they may use this a lot. So let me just go through how you would use the oil. You would just use this in your drinking water. Now you always want to use glass or stainless. And let me just pretend like there's water in this. You don't want to use plastic because the citrus oils, essential oils, are going to dissolve petrochemicals. And that's actually a good thing. That's part of their job in your body, dissolving some of those petrochemical toxins that have come into you through environmental. You want to detox that out because guess where they're stored? In fat cells. And they help to enlarge them. So that's good, but you don't want to dissolve it on in your plastic water bottle. Okay. So stainless or glass, you can fill it with your water or ice water, and then try 1 drop to start with, or 2. And you just shake it or stir it to make sure it emulsifies as best as you can, because oil and water don't mix great. So you do have to do something to do that. And then you just sip on it all day. And the benefits are that oil gets in your body. I'll explain in a minute what it does for you, other than just detoxing. But you're also getting the taste of it in your water, which a lot of people find very refreshing. It has a little mint, ginger, citrus, so it can kind of be breath freshening, but it also can be a great appetite control. So the oil blend itself helps with regulating metabolic function, helps with detoxing toxins out of your fat cells. It helps with appetite control and reducing sugar cravings. And it helps to, this is the really fun part, actually pull excess fat. So if you imagine a fat cell like a balloon, just filled with adipose fat and toxins, it's going to be pulling both of those out so that the fat cells itself shrink. So when you are looking at actual weight loss, you're not eliminating the cells. You still have the same number of fat cells no matter what. You just are reducing the size of them. Okay, so you want to make sure you're getting this oil in your body every day to accomplish all of those things. Now, some people don't want to lose weight. And I want to remind you, this is not a weight loss system. It is a metabolic healing system. Releasing weight can be a part of that for a lot of people. There is a connection between glucose dysfunction and weight gain. However, some people actually struggle to gain weight and to maintain weight, and that's a different kind of a glucose problem. But this system will work for that as well. And the oil blend is really important. So think of it as adaptive for you, because we do see some people who have struggled to gain weight be able to, because the oil is helping balance their metabolic health as well. It's never going to force your body to release weight that it shouldn't release. Does that make sense? So we've actually even seen this oil really help even with elderly people who are struggling to keep their weight on. So just think of it as adaptive and smart. It's going to help your body come into balance, regardless of what that is. Now, if you're trying to gain weight, the one part of the system you may want to eliminate is the assist, that carb blocker. You probably wouldn't need it. But otherwise, all of this is helpful no matter what end of the spectrum you fall on. So that's the oil blend. Now you can use this oil blend a couple of other ways. Oh, I think I just grabbed the wrong oil, but anyway, you can apply it topically. This is a bonus. Some people like to do that. You would want to dilute it with a carrier oil, like a fractionated coconut oil in your hand. If you want to rub it on your stomach, your core, or your hips, or wherever you feel like you just want a little bit of extra topical absorption into your lymphatic circulatory system and cells to help with that detoxing and pulling out fat releasing. That's something that you can do. And some people swear up and down that that's helped them. I haven't done a lot of it myself, but you can. And you can also drop it directly under your tongue. I think I grabbed the frankincense oil, but I'm going to just use it the same way because I like to do that as well. You just drop under your tongue, a couple of drops, and let that really great way to absorb it through the vessels here. Okay, so that is how you would use the straight oil. Now, I really love the capsules because it's easy to remember and easy to do. So I just keep them right along with this. The capsules look very different. And so I actually dump some of these into this bottle in my purse. Whenever I take this, I just take one of these. So I try to get 2 of these in a day. And then a little bit of extra oil, either in my water or a beadlet or gum. I like to chew the gum at least 1 time a day. For me, this is a great sugar craving control. And it tastes really good. So a lot of times in the afternoon when I'm more prone to get a little snacky, or in the evening, the gum goes in my mouth. The beadlets are the oil. So these soft gels have 2 drops of the oil in each capsule. The beadlets have 1/3 of a drop of oil, so much smaller. They're these teeny little ones. You pop it and you can burst them in your mouth as a breath freshener, but then you get a little bit of the oil. So this is the smallest dose. The gum has 1 drop. Okay. I like to get a good 5-6 drops in a day. So like 4 usually with this. 1, there's 5, then I may have a couple others. You can pop a few beadlets. They're just really handy to take on the go. Now, one little tip, when you're using the system, especially with this oil blend, you may notice some days you feel a little cruddy. At the beginning, if you feel a little cruddy, a little brain fog, a little achy, a little headache, that's probably a detox process. Hold on, reach out to us if it's intense, because we don't want it to be intense and we may need to have you go a little slower. But most of the people that do it, it's pretty mild, a little mild detox at the beginning. maybe some skin breakouts, toxins coming out of your body, that's fine. But you may notice periods of time throughout your journey where you just have a day or two where you feel a little achy, little joint aching. That, I have learned, is actually a sign of fat releasing out of your cells. It releases out of your cells, and you need a couple of days to flush it all the way out. So hang on there. That's actually a good sign. I started to notice if I have a couple of days, I just feel a little achy and I noticed that my body composition and maybe even the scale changed a little bit in the days following that. So sign actually. Okay, so let's go over some tips outside of just using the system for having success. So the All right, so let's talk about some general tips and hacks to increase your chances of having great success. The key to using the MetaPWR system is massive consistency and patience. I am not the most disciplined, consistent person, but I have found this easy to do if I station the products around and I just worked them into my habits in the day. I don't miss doses of any of it, and I've had tremendous results. Most of the time, when people say it didn't work for me or it didn't have results, I find out they either were not consistent with all of the steps, or they just gave up really fast, or they started and stopped and started and stopped. That's going to mess you up. So commit to yourself consistency and patience. You are in this for the long game. Long game. I wish I could tell you, hey, you're going to notice amazing results month one. You might. Some people do. It might take longer. Some people, it takes a lot longer. And it's worth investing in the long game because your metabolic health is worth it. And you want to give yourself the patience that you need for your body to heal. Remember, you didn't have your metabolic health get messed up and dysregulated and become imbalanced in a month. You didn't do that in 6 months. It took years. And so you're going to have benefits happen faster than you had the dysfunction come on, but it's still going to take some time. Give your body the time that it needs for healing. Now, if you're worried about the cost of doing this system long term, then I want to encourage you to pay attention at the end of the video. I'm going to give you some tips on what most people and a lot of people are doing to help reduce that cost or even get their products for free. So I will have some tips for you if budget's an issue, and it might not be, which is fine, but you want to commit to yourself. I don't want to see you give up too soon when transformation's around the corner. I also want to encourage you to not hyper focus on the weight piece. When you heal your metabolic health, weight can and often is something that regulates out. But it might not be the first or the second or the third thing that your body reveals to you as it heals. Metabolic health affects a lot of different functions in our body. And I don't know why, but I have noticed that the healing process looks different for everyone. And I think of it as like an onion with layers. Your body is going to decide which layer it's going to heal first. And weight might not be that first one. It might be down underneath. So I really want to encourage you to watch for signs of metabolic healing in other areas, because that encourages us to know good things are happening in my body and more layers are to come. And just allow your body to do it the way that it wants to do it. So some people might notice inflammation dropping first, or weight releasing first. Others may not notice that at all, but they're like, my skin is looking more firm. I'm seeing fine lines go away. Others may notice changes to their sleep and their energy patterns during the day improving. Others may notice reduced stress feelings, better mental clarity, mental health. A really fun one is eyesight improvement. A lot of people notice eyesight improvement in the first few months of using it. That's a sign that your metabolic health is healing. It is worth continuing to see what other things will happen in the months and years ahead. For me, I didn't notice my eyesight changing, and I was a little bit confused at first why everyone else was going to the eye doctor and noticing an improvement in their prescription optometrists were perplexed and amazed. Well, glucose is very much tied to eyesight. Plus, you have structure of the eye and the optic nerve that are benefited from the really good quality collagen. So it makes sense. I didn't notice that happening, but I did have some weight release and some inflammation dropping and more energy and less sugar cravings. I did start to notice things that showed me healing was happening, no eyesight improvement. It took about 11 months before I started to notice, oh, my nighttime vision is improving. It took longer. So my body healed in a different order than some. We've even had some report hearing improvements. So it's very interesting to see how our bodies progress through the healing stages. Please be kind to yourself and let your body heal in the order it needs to. And don't get frustrated if one particular area isn't happening right away. And the area that I see people get the most worked up about is weight. They want immediate weight loss. And that isn't, we're not trying to force your body to lose weight. That might not be how it needs to do it. You might hang on to that until it's ready to release. I don't have actual data on this, but I have sort of anecdotally been hearing a lot of people report that months 4 to 10 tend to be when they start to see breakthroughs the most often. And so, and yet we see a lot of people just try it for a month or two and give up. And so I don't want you to be in that category. I want you to give yourself the best shot at having the most transformation. So hang in there and be patient. Take photos when you start and measure your body. People don't like to do these things. I understand, but it's for you. Whether you share that with us or anyone is totally up to you, but take photos. Don't get hung up on it, but take front photos, side photos, face photos, and then measure waist, hips, thighs, arms, bust. I think those are the main measurement points, because you can use these as measurement tools that might tell you more than what a scale is going to tell you. And that can become a very encouraging thing in the process when you just start to think, I don't think I'm seeing any results. Do some photos, compare, check your measurements. And a lot of times people are amazed. They're like, oh, I didn't think I was getting results, but look at the difference in my face. I see structure changes, even though the scale has stayed the same or even gone up. And remember, if you gain muscle, sometimes you can actually see numbers on the scale go up. Be really careful of what the scale is telling you. In fact, I'm a big fan of getting a smart scale or finding someone that will let you wear stuff on it. This is one I got on Amazon. Runstar, I think it was about $80. You can get cheaper ones. This has, so your feet go on these metal plates here, and your fingers hold the metal plates here, and there's one under here for your thumb, and you hold it out. Now, if you see one that's just the scale, it doesn't have the hand piece, it's only going to send the electromagnetic signal up through your feet, through your waist, and it's going to be measuring the lower half of your body. If you want the full body, you need the one with the handle. And then in clinics, they have even fancier ones. But this is going to tell you things like your biological age, which is an estimation of, not your numerical age on what your birthday says, but what's your body saying? It's going to measure things like visceral fat, the fat around your internal organs. It's going to measure bone density estimations, muscle mass, body fat percentages. There's so many things. I'm just barely scratching the surface. It's a whole list of things that it measures. And that can be really helpful, because if you check that later on, it's going to give you so much more information than just your bathroom scale. And you may go, oh, well, my weight hasn't dropped, but look at the way that the proportions have shifted, and look at what's happening. Biological age is dropping. And it's not perfectly accurate, and it's not going to tell you everything, but it can be a really helpful tool so you can see healing happening in a lot of different categories. you might want to get some labs done. Get a blood test. It doesn't tell you everything, but if you have labs recently, pull those out, save them, and you may want to redo some labs at some point and do a comparison, because you may notice things in your, say, blood pressure. You may notice things in your cholesterol. You may notice something. You also could do a glucose test and be checking your A1C. And that's really important if you're like pre-diabetic or something like that, and see what improvements are coming from that. And we've seen a lot of people just be like dumbfounded at the changes in their labs. That's another way to measure progress. You might want to actually do a continuous glucose monitor. Now, that's a little bit of an investment. I understand. I did that because I wanted to be able to understand the product when it came out and understand my body so I could teach well. But I found it so incredibly helpful that I do think it's a great tool for people to do. I don't recommend that that's the first thing you invest in. I really think you need to invest in using your products. But if you're having a hard time really solving your glucose puzzle, you think you really might be extremely dysregulated, that can be a good option. I did another video recently telling you some options for how to get one, and different pricing structures and different methods of getting them. And I've done a couple different types in our household, some pros and cons. So I will put that so that if you want to look into a continuous glucose monitor, you can see some options in that. So those are just some ways to measure success. But you don't have to measure, you don't have to invest money in any of that. You can just take some pictures and measure yourself. And that's a really free way, inexpensive or free way to monitor progress. All right, so I want to remind you that this system is not a standalone system that's meant to just do this and it's going to fix everything and it's going to cure everything. That's not what it's meant to do. It is meant to pair with healthy lifestyle choices. So think of it as an accelerator to using your lifestyle to improve your metabolic health. The more you pair those together, the better your results will be. So this can be a little confusing because the products alone will do a lot for you, but they're not going to do everything for you. And most people are going to find that they've got to focus on some healthy lifestyle choices, or it's just not going to be enough to really change their lives. And so for me, I really like to share my story of I intentionally didn't change my lifestyle because I wanted to see what the product did, and I had good results. But I do know that the more I adapt my lifestyle, the better my results are. And so I don't want to confuse you in saying change nothing, because it's not like, oh, just take these capsules and drink the drink and then, head down to McDonald's or drink your soda or your diet soda. You've got to pay attention to the sugars and the carbs you're putting in your body, and also the toxic things like artificial sweeteners, by the way, that messes up your glucose. And a lot of people gain more weight on that. And where do those toxins get stored? Fat cells, again, and the brain. So not good for you. So reducing sugar and carbs or eliminating sugar altogether is ideal. I realize sometimes those habits are hard to change, but this MetaPWR system is helping people feel more empowered to actually make those changes. For me, that meant my sugar cravings were reduced dramatically. And so I could organically start consuming less sugar. So at first I didn't change anything consciously, but then I started to notice I'm organically choosing sugar and carbs less and caffeine less. And so it was helpful in that sense. So this is the tool that helps make the lifestyle changes more obtainable. But you do need to move your body, and you do need to not overdo the really unhealthy things that we know really mess up our blood sugar and cause toxicity and cause weight gain. We don't have a specific diet or eating plan that we tell everyone to go on, because that's not what we do at doTERRA. And I am not a nutritionist or a dietitian. However, we do recognize that what you put in your mouth has a dramatic effect on your glucose. And so you don't want to be, doing one step forward with your system and 3 steps back with what you're eating. You want to be conscious of that. Now, that said, we can see people go to the extreme and harm their metabolic health and sabotage by trying to starve themselves. And that is not what we want to do. You need to eat food. You just want to figure out for you what foods are good for you to eat, how much, and what times of day. And everyone's a little bit different, which is another reason we don't have everybody do the same eating plan. But a lot of people, especially women, get caught up in calorie counting and reducing the amount of food they eat, and they are starving themselves. And it's actually putting their body into a freak out stage that's wanting to store fat to protect it. So be careful not to do extreme dieting like that. I'm really a big believer in let my body release weight slowly and naturally, and not try to force it by starvation, because you're going to yo-yo. Your body's going to freak out and want to store fat. It does not want to starve. So be careful of that. I don't advise calorie counting. What I do want to do is master blood sugar. And so the system is really helpful. The other thing that is really helpful is learning. Now, this isn't an eating plan, but this is some eating hacks. This is not associated with doTERRA. I don't make any money from this, but I love this book, The Glucose Revolution by Jessie in Shospe. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. This is a fantastic book, and I highly recommend you read it to understand how blood sugar works and understand how to make choices that are going to keep your glucose down. Now, I still eat some desserts. I still eat some bread. I am not carb-free, sugar-free, but I didn't eat a lot of that to begin with. I did struggle with sugar cravings before MetaPWR, and that's the thing that I've seen shift is the cravings. But I was already making pretty healthy choices, but not extreme choices. And for me, that's continued to work. Some people need to go a little bit more extreme on avoiding the extra carbs and sugar. My husband does much better if he goes more towards the keto side, and he just really avoids all grains and keeps his carb count really low and avoids all sugar. And that has been better for him. Maybe it would be better for me, but I haven't needed to go that extreme. So everyone's a little different, but these are the easiest tricks. So let me just give you an example. Did you know that when you mix starches, like say rice or sweet potatoes, if you refrigerate it for 20 minutes after you cook it and then reheat it, you have a much lower blood sugar spike, because that refrigeration and process creates something called resistant starch. And I mean, how easy is that? Make it the day before, make it a few hours before, and reheat. That's a very easy way to reduce. Did you know that drinking a tiny bit of apple cider vinegar before you eat a meal is going to reduce the impact of your carbs and starches on your blood sugar? And she gives some ideas for how to do that, how to even little cocktails you can make, mocktails you can make with it to taste good. Did you know that just changing the order that you eat your food on your plate has a dramatic effect on your blood sugar spiking? So you want to eat your vegetables first, then your proteins, and then move on to carbs. And if you have a dessert, that it's last. Did you know that when you drink your water at your meal makes a difference before or after? I'll let you find out. So this book, you can grab it on Amazon, really good. She also has an Instagram account, and her Instagram brand handle is The Glucose Goddess. And she posts hacks all the time there, and that's a way you can get a lot of information for free.